everybody. Monday on Astral Oracles. Thank you for being here. It is Sunday, and a sermon is upon me. I'm going to be talking about some different things. I speak best on my feet, so I'm going to stand up for this one. And you can either just go with the flow of energy and let this move you, or you can take it and break it apart and go back and follow these paths and steps and information I lay out and use that to enrich your life experience or get knowledgeable about stuff you might find interesting. That is always your choice. The topic at hand today is the fake and the real. The shit and the shine, the phony and the fine. So with that in mind, we're going to comparatively talk about some phenomenon in cultural history, things I know relatively well, which is something like European art history, the history of ideas, and hip hop. So consider this. Let's take each one of these angles, the fake and the real. They often seem incredibly similar, and they present themselves often with the same amount of persuasion, pristine talent, pizzazz, skill, and observation. It can be very, very hard to take them apart. And now I'm going to use some examples. So consider some positions within Baroque art and consider some positions within the history of hip hop. And you might be able to see what I'm saying. So, who's probably the most successful pinnacle artist? Who's the one who is in their lifetime the most valued, paid, recognized, and praised artist in their respective period? Well, in hip hop, that would be Jay-Z, and in the Baroque era, that would be Peter Paul Rubens, a great Dutch painter, as he was known and treasured in his lifetime. And both of these people are prolific, talented, gifted artists. It's hard not to either listen to what Jay-Z has done or to look at a painting by Rubens and not see that this is somehow breathtaking, astounding, skilled, moving, captivating. It has that quality to it, and they sure did get paid for it, and they also managed to really curate a lot of other people they studied intensely and figured out what it was people liked about them, and then honed and harnessed that and served it up to people in a concentrated and refined form that really well did something and also made them rich. But then who actually captures the deep essence of what hip hop is, or what the Baroque was about? And I'll let you examine that. Ding, 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 ding. But if you know these periods, then your answer to both those questions is, in the case of hip hop, knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everybody. That is what is up, and when are you going to get it? KRS-One, and in the case of the Baroque, it is a person called Michelangelo de Caravaggio, who has also seen a resurgence and who is an absolutely breathtakingly, astoundingly gorgeous artist, and who lived one hell of a life to boot, and didn't get the recognition he needed, but managed to leave some paintings that still are with us today in more ways than one. So what's the difference between these kinds of figures? And I think these are very relevant comparisons, because notice that KRS-One and Caravaggio are people who, if studied, will lead you into a wider appreciation of the craft and the art. They are also people who are widely recognized by other people who practice their craft, because they can see exactly how ineffably difficult it is to do what it is that the KRS or Caravaggio is doing. It is the hand of the creator which is working itself out and expressing itself through the world, and is touching and moving and stirring people's souls in ways that will, if they let it, will lead them back into the full cycle, the full center, the full circle of the One. And this is the nature of all sacred art, wherever it comes forward in history, or to the time space, or planets at all. It has two qualities. It stands the test of time. You can listen to it and it sounds like it's period, but it also sounds timeless, no matter when it was made. And the other is that when you step onto it, it will lead you up into the whole thing, which is the One, which is yourself, which is your center, which is the true nature, which is source, which is God, the ineffable One. And these are fundamental differences between what is kind of good art, but essentially phony and connected to that realm, and what somehow hails from the realm of the sacred, and what is divinely inspired and touched. And it's exquisitely beautiful that both things exist and both things have their place and time. But it's also important that we notice this, because energy doesn't lie, and you can tell that the surplus, the fruits it gives off, are different for you, because often it will be taxing to engage with holy art. It will stir you, it will bring out stuff you don't want to see, or emotions that are hard and that somehow wants to stir and release, while the other art is gratifying, but will kind of leave you in that kind of depleted sense of wanting a little bit more, but not knowing how you get it. And this is an energetic signature that you can detect it by. And it's quite fascinating. So if you want examples, and that's always helpful, let's take a KRS rhyme. I'm the beat in every street. My heart is under your feet. That's right, my heart is under your feet. Like, take that apart. That is so super duper brilliant, phonetically, semantically, and of course, like within the framework of hip hop, what it's talking about, and the instruments it's using, and the words it likes to express itself through. That is so pure, crystallized, diamond, brilliant poetry. And he's got more of them than you can count, and he's been consistently putting out high quality work in that way. But let's take that again. I'm the beat in every street. That's right, my heart's under your feet. Like, he's doing this emotional subservience, where he's putting himself below, he's relating to somebody, and he's actually putting himself in the place of the one who's being trod on, who's emoting everything that the world is doing to him. That's a deep emotional resonance in a throwaway line that just passes over a beat like that. And let's take one of my favorite JC lines in comparison. Do not step to me, I'm awkward, I box lefty, and often my pops left me, and often my mama wasn't home. That is some absolutely brilliant wordplay right there. But notice it's talking about him. It's putting himself in the role of an overcomer. It's a personal narrative. It's personal assertion. So even though these two lines have like the same quality of sublime rhyming to them, they are very, very different subtly in how you'll react to them. And this is very important. And you can tell this in art history as well. So you can look at people, and if we take Caravaggio, let's take something like Abraham's sacrifice of Isaac, right? That kind of raw emotion where everybody is both invested, wrought by, drawn in and out of that painting. It's some of the most harrowing things you'll ever see. And I think I've actually seen the original, but it's also, if you just look it up, it works just as well just by looking at it in a digital form. It's really, really powerful. And take the Three Graces or something else, like one of Rubens' many slightly tasteless decorations. But for the time, they were also exuberant. They were right up to the standards of the Baroque, and they are informed by this very, very skillful play with light, color, vivacity, appreciation of the human form, boundaries, and outlines, all these magnificent things. But it's also kind of crass, vulgar, speaks to a type of rapture, of personal gratification, of eroticism. It has that kind of flavor of, yeah, where can I buy more of this? Is the feeling that it leads you to, rather than, okay, this makes me feel human in sort of odd and helpfully questionable ways. And I'm bringing this up because you can see it's an energy pattern. So it repeats itself all over time and space. And it repeats itself also in other spaces. So this is why I have the third example, to kind of point out how it also relates to the development of psychoanalysis, for instance. Um, so notice how Freud, genius as he was, is also often seen as the pinnacle of the combination of 19th century thought and the opening of the 20th century, whereas his student, who he disavowed young, is kind of maligned, but a person who inspires people in other ways, who is still around somehow in his difficult work and doing that, and who demands an immense amount of respect, and probably stands the test of time and leads you into the true center and resonance of what the holy is. And there are intermediate stages between all those. So you can, like, who captures that in the Baroque era, for instance? That's probably somebody like Rembrandt, who's both an absolutely gifted artist, recognized for it, but also somebody who's engaged in depicting, actual community life, like the Night Watch, or what's it like that dissection, those famous paintings. Or it's somebody like Common in rap music, who's both widely recognized, sees a lot of accolades and rewards, but of course not as rich as Jay-Z, but definitely is somebody who will also point to the KRS as being the greatest rapper to ever live. And so there are these intermediate stages, and you can also find it in psychoanalysis with somebody like Adler or Reich, right? Like some of these people who are in the middle and probably have both a bit of the sort of disjointed, confrontative, also attention grabbing claim that the shit, the phony, the fake actually has energetically, even though it presents itself as valid, but also has a lot of the other stuff. It's always a negotiation, and we're always on scales, balances, weights, and things that are evening themselves out. but it's a problem I've really been tangling with, and you can apply this to a lot of other situations. And if you're kind of wondering about people in your life, things in your life, jobs, experiences you've had, you can probably look at it and go, okay, what things seemed gratifying and right to me at first, but turned out to be a cop out or demand a price of me I wasn't willing to pay later on, and what things actually put pressure or demands on me, but didn't. But in the end, helped to push me into a place where I became more of what it felt right for me to be. And that is a fundamental difference between the divine and the disturbing, devilish, or at least what is made from dissimilitude. So I think that's very worthwhile noticing. And I hope you both like this format and this type of riffing. I send you all my love, the blessings of heaven and earth, and may your heart lead you back to where it needs to be with you alongside it. Much love to you out there, guys.